Now we're on to part 2 of the tutorial, where we're going to be working in Illustrator. These 4 steps of part 2 are to set up the color palette. And I'm going to deviate, or suggest we deviate a little bit from the tutorial here. And so instead of waiting until step 4 to create the entire color palette, we basically can do it sort of all at once and save the swatches. All right. So the first thing to do is create a 4x4 pixel, 4 pixel by 4 pixel Illustrator document. Now this is where I suggest you can also experiment with some other sizes of this pattern or the swatch. It ends up being here, these horizontal lines. I encourage you to experiment a little bit and maybe try a different size pattern. It should still be a square. So instead of 4x4, you might try 5x5 or 6x6, 8x8, that sort of thing. 8x8, of course, is going to be a coarser pattern. They're going to be, those lines are going to be thicker, right? So in this tutorial, each one of those lines, the blue and yellow lines, is only 2 pixels wide because it's a 4x4 pattern. 4 pixels by 4 pixels. So let's go back and pick up where we left off. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stick to the 4x4. We'll create a custom 4x4 Illustrator document. And I'm also going to use these 4 colors, or I should say this kind of yellowish beige, this blue, and this pattern that he does, and the other 2 colors we can I might play with. Let's go ahead and make a rectangle for the top and use that blue color as in the tutorial. And what you can do is have that selected, open your color palette, and over in the hex code here, change that to the same as this 4F919F. And boom, why didn't it change? Why is it still black? That's because I have a stroke active here, and with a black stroke, and the stroke is too big. This is a tiny, tiny image. It's only 4 pixels by 4 pixels, and the stroke here, whatever its size is bigger than 4 pixels. So I'll turn off the stroke, and there, now it's only that fill. Let's see, I'll duplicate this, and now I'll change the color of the bottom one to FBDE8E. As the tutorial recommends, I'm going to open my swatches palette. I'll select everything, so both of those colored rectangles are selected, and I will create a new swatch by dragging and dropping into my swatches palette. So everything is, both of those rectangles are selected. I drag and drop into the swatches palette. It creates a pattern swatch, not a color swatch, but a pattern swatch. Okay, and here now I recommend we set up the entire color palette. What I would also do here is create a new color group to hold those. So I will call that self-portrait. So I now have a folder to hold my self-portrait colors. Unfortunately, I think the folders under the swatch can't hold the pattern, but it can hold the individual colors. So if I still do want an individual beige color and an individual blue color, I can do that. I can select the blue here, make sure my self-portrait folder is selected, and then click New Swatch here, and I'll call this Portrait Blue. All right. We'll do that with the beige as well. Make sure that's selected, New Swatch. There. And now we can create some other colors that we think might work. So I fast forwarded, and these are the colors that I've kind of ended up with in the end. I think that this is going to be a nice combination. And if I look at my swatches again, I have the pattern here, and then the individual colors in this self-portrait group here. And then what we'll do is we'll save the palette here. We can do that by using this icon swatch libraries menu down at the bottom left and say save swatches. And when you do this, it'll save this in the default swatches location for Illustrator, so that when you open up Illustrator, this will always be available through that same menu. You can load this swatch file here. So I'll go ahead and save this self-portrait colors, so then we can call those up later.